welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu Gameplay channel. And in this one we have my Volibear the Bear. It's been a while since we've had him on the channel because Riot nerfed him. They felt he was doing too much damage, and then they removed some damage and movement speed for some peculiar reason. The reliability of his ganks is the point of the champion, Riot, as we go on a very noble crusade to track where Karthus is going to start. And, you know, do you really need to track where Karthus is going to start? Like, is he really going to start on the red? I mean, how many Karthus mains know how to start on red and sequence down without dying? I mean, it's not something you really anticipate. And we forced this entire chaos, and we're just like, guys, I'm warding, going back to base. So that's the beginning of this game. Starting E, however, way back when, at the beginning of Season 11, the preseason, end of 2020, we had the itemization rework. And the first build that I concocted and put out there was the Frostfire Nash's Tooth. At the time, Demonics / Cosmic / Zonias, we had a different sort of ecosystem, but that was the core principle. And in this one, I want to show you how OP it still actually can be, and I mean that in a very literal sense, because we have here a Smurf playing Volibear at a very, very high level in Master Tier, and basically, if you play him properly, he can still be a high-damaging and game-controlling carry bear in the right hands. And if you want to really know how to carry with Volibear, I have almost 25,000 games played on my Zarda GG Volibear guide. That will be linked below, as well as for Echo, Baveth, Diana, Viego, and Warwick, with many more to come in the next week or two, maybe 3. But Volibear is the king of those guides, really, really huge success. So if you want to know how to play like this, and I'm going to be putting in a version of this build back into the guide as well, I keep updating it frequently, you'll see some in-game tips. But we're starting off on the blue, to the Grump, into the Wolves. Absolutely standard stuff. We see the Riven move down and then move up. She moved down a little bit, so we know the ward's going to be a bit further down the lane should you try and gank it. And obviously the Karthus, he's starting in blue. I mean, even without the ward, I don't think you're going to necessarily see Karthus go leashless. I don't think that many people, outside of a select few talented gamers, have put in that amount of time to get the clear down. So either way, you know, blue up, that's when you know it's going to happen. Volibear has the ability to around 252, you know, basically on average, you can have slightly faster A5 camp, which means you can use that tempo control for gankings, falling back, and tier 2 Grump invades and wards. There's definitely a lot of control you have by not full clearing, but of course, if you're against a Karthus and there doesn't look like anything you can gank, you can still very easily full clear with no stress whatsoever. The damage reduction on the E did affect it to a certain degree, but it's not made it impossible. It's not made it useless or something that you could never pull out. And specifically here, having level 4 is crucial because against lanes like a Draven with a speed up, CC from the Leona, any lane that might be more difficult to gank, a second point in your queue will definitely make it a much more easy exercise, an easier exercise. And I think in this situation, that's obviously good. If you want to focus more on farming and chomping, you can still go W, but we're focusing on the Q max here for maximum control. We're going to clear this off as we ward, maximizing the 10 seconds of the scanner. We obviously see here that Draven has decided to note that Volibear is going top down, Karthus is going top up, exchanging a crab, 28 CS apiece. Therefore, we are going to go back to base. Now, this is where you have the 2v2 meet in the middle, but Karthus is typically would not look to do that. They could look to go diving top lane. They could look to the E hits, so we get some juicy damage, plus a little bit of pressure release. We see some roamings from the Leona there while they push this out. And now, of course, helping out a little bit, going back to base. But when you see the Karthus here, now this is what's peculiar for me. I mean, 29 CS clearing a ward or hitting a minion. I mean, 28 from a full club, that's crap. What on earth is he looking for? Is he expecting the Volibear to kind of gank this and take his tier 2 Grom, so he's just hanging around? I feel like this is a massive oversight by the Karthus. A lot of time invest here. And typically when you're farming junglers, they're going to try and overcommit here. Volibear just says, hey, look, I'm still full HP. I have a lot of things I can use. I'm going to make sure I flash hit my Q. That W is going to hit. Sorry, the E's going to hit, and then I can auto-cancel my W. Chompy, chompy, chompy. Keep auto-attacking using that passive. A second W used, but on the Riven, so no heal for us, because we don't get the second charge. But we will have E up again, plus Q, plus stonks. Beasts rain down on Riven and Karthus. That's great. I mean, this is brilliant. For Volibear mains, if you're looking for that 3 cam action, great. If you're looking for the 5 cam action, great. But if there's really nothing and you want a full clear, get a crab, specifically when the enemy jungler's on the opposite side. Don't be too hasty to reset. Still look mid. Still look for those ganks around the map, because you can always fall down, to a second sequence. You know, if you're doing red side kind of thing and you're looping right around, you can always just loop around for a second sequence and then reset. Now Volibear here with Grump can just go Wolves, Raptors, Krugs again, get 6 and go back to base. Like, there's no stress for him whatsoever. We have here the Zed minions doing a lot of damage early. I recommend using the wiki and looking at minion damage. You know, melees, curses, siege, 12, 24, 42. Really important to know how much damage they do when you're going to go fight into waves. But I think here it's anticipated that the Karthus should just straight up sequence instead of worrying too much about being counter jungled here and assuming the Karthus is going to kind of keep sequencing. You don't have to defend your red side. If you have a lot of cash money gold, you don't want to be a goblin hoarder. But I do kind of like to go for the second sequence because I know I can kind of just loop back around here and then of course reset. And now, do I want to defend this? Do I want to go bottom side and collapse on this? And we have options, right? But typically, the more standard clear is with RNG Crab on the bottom side. Finish that top quadrant the second time, base, get your Ionian Boots of jungling, get a Dark Seal. Definitely Dark Seal is huge in this particular game. And you would have seen the stopwatch. Karthus has decided to do a little bit of a loop path. Fascinating, actually, that he did Grump Wolves and loops back down to cut off the Volibear. But he's not able to do much, actually. We have now 3 points in Q, so that movement speed moving up. And now we have Zed prior, so we're going to lose that bottom scuttle. That's what's kind of sad here. Got to be cautious about the Zed, because he's 6, right, obviously. You know, you don't want to overcommit. We're just shadowing at this point. We're ganking jungler. Yes, we can farm. Yes, we can scale with the atomization. But at the same time, you still have to keep focus on not letting laners die and letting enemy junglers smurf all over them, specifically farming junglers, you know? So shadowing here is obviously a very good idea. Karthus is absolutely insane waste of time here. He could just be straight up sequencing, controlling everything. He didn't want to give up the scuttle, didn't want to give up bottom lane prior to the Volibear. Draven's now out of sync with his Karthus and his Leona. Volibear's dodging all the Qs he can, trying to get that E hit, and it should hit. Beautiful E. Now we're going to go in here using that Q onto the Karthus. The Renata activates as we get 6, we ult. We will die, and the flash is burned from the Leona. I think we can say, because this is E West, a good death, without a doubt. Nice chain there. That's why it's so important to level up your abilities in the middle of fights. If you get 6 in the middle of a fight, in the middle of a game, please use it, upgrade it, smash some people, and now we can flex on over to the top side. Why would we not go bottom side here? Well, this is just now being finished off and secured, obviously, and this is out of sync now with everything else. Yeah, we kind of want this RNG crab, but the thing is, we're not overly obsessed with the crab at this point. It's great to get it, but it's not something you're necessarily gonna compromise all your sequencing for, because you could just go to the blue side here, you could just go to the blue side here, go down again, gank bottom lane again. You know, you have a lot of control. Now, we're tracking here that the Karthus should, given this, probably look to do top side sequencings. Maybe he could loop for a Herald, or he could just go back down again. So the Karthus' behavior is a little odd. Really not maximizing his skill set, not giving things up enough as he probably should and could, and Volibear is really just straight up punishing him for it, and that's a lot about jungling. Make the right plays, sequence the right way, put yourself in the best position to punish mistakes. Here we're going to do a little loop at a base, blue, Grump Wolves, a little loop path here to cut through this. This is the value that we want. If Karthus is here, going down, right, then we can basically protect if he comes in. Otherwise, if we see him bottom lane, sequencing down or whatever, then free. So basically, the Karthus here, this is where the randomness comes in. Really, he could have gone red side. He could have gone to the bottom side plus a scuttle plus counter jungling. You don't really fully know exactly what he's going to be doing. So you just got to kind of play your game a little bit, look to cut in, get some objective tempo control, which of course we do. Now, if he hasn't shown up by now, then you can probably know he's not here. Zed pushing this out. We take the Herald. Renekton goes on a juicy roam. If you're top laner, please do this. Thank you so much. Once we see this, we know that this could be a risk. So you see all the pings coming through on the minimap from the Volibear, from the Renekton as well, saying, okay, look, there's nothing top side. He must be on this bottom side. Indirect evidence. What can we do about that? Here, I think I'm quite comfortable. Wards, because the Zed disappears as well. Draven's back in the lane. Leona hits the ultimate. That is a stunned Renata. That is a Zed showing up. This should still be a dead support. Volibear in the meantime, excuse me, wrong jungler, goes ahead and clears his control ward. Okay, Victor goes back to the mid lane. Now we see the Karthus showing up here, which means we know he looped around. And we can go ahead and, again, punish this like a... You know, like, I'd have to be straight up hard focusing, playing this game, and I still couldn't figure out what the Karthus is exactly trying to accomplish in this game. This is an early game state elevation, obviously. Not going to fully get that tower just yet because the bonus resistance is now it's at, you know, like 155. The Zed is going in on the Misfortune. Whoop, goes the Weasel. She dies too, so you're basically just being the 3-1-2 solo carry here. We have the Stopwatch, we have the Dark Seal, we have the Balmy Cinder. I do kind of want to still make a play because I feel like I'm quite strong at this point. I don't think you need to concern yourself too much with resetting. Even though we have almost 2k, you're still quite strong. You can still look for extension plays like this. And obviously the RNG Scuttle is what we want. So we wait a little bit for the Victor to he actually does get the tower. I didn't think he was going to fully commit to that, which he does. Rotate to the bottom lane, burn the flash from the Draven. We have the Karthus in the bush there above us, if you will see that. We're going to make sure we flash. We can get that W as well. We have ulted, no mana on the Leona. We will have, excuse me, a Q up. There it is. It's used on the Karthus for stuns and gap close. Victor helps us out as well. And then, of course, we have the dead Karthus, who's now going to try and use his passive to kill the Victor. Victor flashes. Zed shows up, gets exhausted, and Misfortune uses her ult on him. So, a fiesta happens. But we live, which means he dies, which means free dragon. This is a nice... This is similar to how I would look to play. I like to sequence while I have good CS. And really look to force issues, even if I have... I just have to feel strong in my itemization, right? If I have Sheen plus Kindle Gem plus Tiamat, for example, which would be like a Divine Sundra Titanic build, I feel really potent. You know, I can have 2k in the pocket and see these fights that I can still play, especially with ult up. I'm comfortable going for them. But we definitely go for the Q max here. Because obviously the movement speed is just too crucial. And obviously it's guaranteed damage as well. And when you're building tank with Chem Tank, you're basically saying, listen, you cannot escape me. I can get in there and I feel strong enough with my Dark Seal stacks, plus, you know, going into the Zhonya's, that you're not going to be able to do anything about it. However, that's the juice, right? You think you're going into Zhonya's. You can, but I typically prefer going into the Nash's Tooth. The Nash's Tooth Frostfire, the Nash's Tooth Sunfire, the Nash's Tooth Chem Tank. Doesn't really matter which one you want to choose, preferably Chem Tank or Frostfire. It's such a good combination. It gives you the tankiness, the passive, the tenacity, the engage, the size gain, the slow field, the damage, whatever tank itemization you're choosing, that's great. But the added damage and attack speed from your passive, from the E, from the ultimate, on the champion using the Nash's Tooth makes it so great for objective, split push, tower taking, and honestly, you just destroy people. If you know how to animation cancel fully, and you're just plonking down your E upon your R, and your passive is kicking off overall with your attack speed lightning, it's so big. Nash's Tooth feels so good on the champion. Always has, really. It's just something that you need to use when you have a lead. You know, you can use it when you're behind, but you'll notice you get quite squishy and it's quite difficult. We use the ult there to extend or pause the duration of our Q so we can actually get on to the Draven, and now we push this out. So again, quadrant, see a play, don't farm, cut in, take it. And that's what cutting the map is. You do a quadrant, and instead of just sequencing blindly, you look to see what play I can make before then rewarding myself with camps, right? Falling back to those camps. And that's really the huge principle that you need as Volibear. Cutting the map is absolute king. The Karthus I'm not really concerned about, but there he shows, okay? So probably going to steal this. We're pinging here the defense of this blue. He's actually moving. They're actually moving. Oh my goodness. They actually think this is happening. Oh no. Oh no, Karthus. They're actually moving to collapse on this. And now I know realistically this won't always happen to you, but, ooh. But now where are you going to go? Like, you're dead. You flashed, but you're dead. What's the point in the flash? Leona shows up with the Zed. The Volibear is just like, I'm farming, bros. I think that's okay, actually. Especially if they're going to do your bidding. They trust you, you're fed, and they kind of believe, okay, Volibear's carry will do it. But that's because of the amount of attention you've put in on the map overall, and with the amount of infusion you've given to the Victor, it makes sense for him, right? He's got no tower to play against over here, so why not do that? Look at how we stick to people, right? The cooldown is absolutely nuts too. 7.14 seconds now. And obviously the movement speed goes up to 24. It used to be so fast, Season 10, and then they nerfed it, and now it's been nerfed again. It's a little upsetting, actually, but I do get it. You know, we've got Chem Tank in this game. We're still fast. We're able to get onto people. It is what it is. I think I would like to get this blue myself. Okay, look at this. Zed going in here. I love Zed as Volibear because it's free real estate, really. Like, it's such a good matchup. But no respect here. We just covered in my bootcamp in the lecture before recording this. How to play from behind, and that's not how you do it, my friends. Berserk, good. Good. Beautiful. Take it. No. No. You take that for yourself, guys. Right? You take that blue for yourself. Victor has a blue. You need the mana. You want to be 11, right? So don't let him take that from you. Like, he just got this. He doesn't need a refresher right now. I don't think so. I think that's too nice, right? That's just not something I really want to see. Hey, but we'll take the wave. No stress. Like, if he doesn't want to push the wave fully, we'll do it. But this is such an important component of Volibear that you don't see a lot of people fall back to farming, to fighting, they stop farming entirely. Okay, now it's annoying. And they don't go into the jungle, just take everything. If you can sequence this whole jungle, specifically a Karthus, you have to. Because he will end up scaling if you don't. he will 100% end up scaling if you don't, and that's when you lose games, my friends. Because the game is a long way from over. Like, you have a big lead here, but good closing out is necessary, because if you don't, you're going to lose. I'm just processing this Karthus again, trying to lane gank here, isn't able to. Volibear cuts him off, turns into the river and kills. So now we've got a lot of gold. We don't have stopwatch, which means we're probably going to die here. We're probably going to live here because Renata, and we're so far ahead. But you could obviously go into the Zhonya second if you felt like it's necessary in this particular combo or game. But we're at 3,700. Do we need to back? This is what I'm saying. Yes, technically you're goblin holding. Yes, we're staying out a little bit too long, all right? And I honestly thought we should have died, but hey. If we live, and we enjoy. But as long as you're comfortable with the components you have and you know how far you can push them, as the enemy keeps buying a little bit here and there from their deaths, it's okay. But I think after this Herald, you're looking at a definite hard reset. You're looking at definitely getting huge itemization components because you want to kind of protect this, but at the same time, no one's cutting through here to take this, and so you could, in theory, stay out longer, but are you really going to? You're not a YouTuber. You're not doing a 5,000, 10,000 gold YouTube challenge, no itemization, smurfing with, you know, bronze people and normals. This is all high elo content, all the time, on both channels. Well, I also make diamond platinum stuff, and then on occasion I do the low elo stuff. Right, in the meantime, we've gotten our team so damn far ahead, the Karthus can really do nothing, and this is, again, the Karthus has made mistakes. Those farming junglers will start to feel desperate with that kind of pressure, and you won't necessarily have to do much, and it's quite nice to watch lanes that you've done a good job feeding and watch them use that lead. But then, of course, they can overcommit, so. Which is typically what does happen, my friends. We've gone for the Zhonya second purely because, of course, we have the Karthus against us, we have the Zed against us, and so with this Herald here, we can kind of bust it down, but you gotta be careful. That Zhonya is more useful. If there's no Karthus, if there's no Zed, if there's more of a game where, you know, you're not gonna be bursted out and you don't need that survivability for that stasis, then the Nash's Tooth is fine, because you'd just be plowing down this tower. Absolutely plowing down this tower. Yeah, I mean, using the Herald here would be a little too soon. You could try and end the game, but I think it's a little too soon to force when you're so disparate with the rest of your backtimers. But hey, with our AP components, we are, of course, building into the Zhonyas. Let's just go fun. Go fun! Yes, fun bear. Uh-oh. It's fine. Second W. Zhonyas. We have E. Can we get there in time? Yes, we can. Chomp, baby. And again, beautiful. Queen's applause, please. Look at how strong you can be when you have a lead with a tank item, plus Zhonyas, plus Nash's Tooth. Obviously, we don't even have the Nash's Tooth yet, but you see how strong you can be. Haste is crucial, right? Getting this cooldown as low as possible. Cooldown as low as possible. And obviously, W 3.23 heals, chomp, 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 and your ultimate does so much damage. Obviously, it scales with both, and it is physical damage, but it does scale with that AP directly. So passives, we're at 128 now, additional 128 damage. Nash's Tooth complete, and this is the build. So this is even before the build, right? Now imagine the build in your hands. After this, obviously, it's great to keep going AP for full fun, but as I said, the game isn't 100% over. You still have to close out. We still don't have an inhib. Whole base is available. It's still a team comp. While they don't scale, really, and we have the victor factor and the misfortune factor, I don't want to play with fire. Because a lot of the time, your teams will die to the Zed. They will die to the Karthus. The Karthus will be farming because you're not punishing him enough. This absolute destruction of a Karthus, I love it. It's always what I aim to do when I am playing Volibear, and pretty much most junglers, because you just don't want to give him anything for free. The 3-level lead, beautiful. It's always what we're looking for. Right. Now, obviously, with Volibear, in these situations, you might say, well, now what can we do? I'll split. You can really force the split with this. Let's actually look at this in action here. Free death for the minions. Blue buff is spawning, wolf is spawning. And our team of 3 men pushing mid. Obviously, they're going to look to reset here, maybe. But this is a problem. They will overpush if they don't, and they will die. So this is what I'm talking about, you see? When you go splitting, and there's 3 of them, because you're trying a 1-3-1, you're going to have a really rough position. And what Volibear does is activates a hero, pushes it up as far as possible, collapses in on the fight, auto attack, tries to ult the Zed Shadow, won't get through. The passive does get through, though. We're able to chomp through the Karthus as well. We're going to get the shield from the E here. Attack. Oh, Victor steals our triple. That's the key for split push, and it can be really so sudden. Really sudden. Look at the bonks. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Really hard-hitting stuff. I like the Nash's Tooth. So, we split with the intent of a 1-3-1. Okay, we're not actually ending here at all, because everyone's going to be coming up here. Could you end? Probably. Let's see. Or are we doing a canyon? Are we doing a canyon? Zed's up, Karthus is up, Draven's up, Leona's up. Or are we doing a dive kind of thing? We've covered a video on this exact channel with Canyon where they kind of tried to force this end and they couldn't. They threw almost. They get extended the game 15 minutes. Yeah. They tried. They tried, but with all the spawn timers coming up, ooh, I've seen more throws from this position. I've had more throws from this position than I think I'm happy with. But point is, while we have cooldown, use this 3-item spike to push here, potentially 1-3-1. The 3 people mid lane probably won't respect it in your elo, and they'll be engaged on, much like it was here. But if you've pushed up here and you've got this herald, then cut in, okay? The key is cut in and get there. Don't keep going by yourself unless, of course, you know, like it's really doomed. But ideally, once you see this, we're pushing up as far as possible, and then we're cutting in, and then we're rotating to the fight. So we're going to take away the walls and the grump. Here we're going to see the Zed pushing. Zed's like, hey guys, let me flame you right now. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's why Red Smite's better. Burn damage. I prefer Red Smite against most champions. Draven and Zed, the Red Smite's really significantly better. Riven too, but the Blue Smite also is guaranteed damage plus slow, and against things like Karthus and any sort of ADC, including the Draven, it can be really useful. Also the Zed, especially when you use it and he uses his W trickery, it allows you to catch him up. So there's a pro and a con for both of them, but typically I prefer still Red Smite in a majority of cases. I know it was nerfed, I know it's not as potent as it was, but every bit helps in those closer fights. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go for the Deadman's. Now Deadman's is a shit item for armor. Okay, so you're not buying it for armor at all. The gold efficiency in terms of like tankiness, which again, I don't like gold efficiency as a stat because it's really meaningless unless you have context, and how much value you're getting from the item. But why would you base in the open against the Volibear? See, anyway, the Deadman's you go for extra movement speed, obviously, and extra damage. Because you're so far ahead, the HP is enough, the armor is enough, the armor plus the armor on the Zhonya specifically, because it's the same, right? 45 plus 45 is sufficient. And then obviously for the final itemization, you can just slap into the Mejais, okay, if you keep going. But if you lose those stacks, and things don't feel so good, you are against a bit of a magic damage team maybe, then you can simply Spirit Visage or Abyssal Mask if you have a lot of AP as well, or Force of Nature. A lot of options for you. Or Stoneblade. Stoneblade a good one. You know, if there's a lot of HP burn on the enemy team, then Stoneblade can be better for those shields. Because you have enough HP, well, actually not that much HP I suppose, but the Deadman's plus Chem Tank is usually enough and you should be able to close games out by then. And the Baron is basically just a cherry on the top of the cake. 15-1-6, excellent kills, excellent animation cancelling. Mercer tier, jungle gaming against someone, you know, another master jungler, but you can see the mistakes. You know, when it's not a challenger game, we just hit the Nexus. When it's not a challenger game, you can see those mistakes, right? So, go into your VOD reviews if you're Volibear, playing against a farming jungler. Look where they show up. What CS do they have? What did they do? What can you do about that as well? What is your game plan? Ganking bot lane, getting ahead, counter jungling. Really just a great build. I love it still. I think it's really, really good. Frostfire plus Nashor specifically is juicy. And I would go the Nashors before the Zhonyas unless I really, really needed the Zhonyas. And against a Karthus who may actually get more ahead in a regular game, the Zed who maybe is just feasting on your mid lane and can one-shot you still, then the Zhonyas is more potent, okay? So keep that in mind. Zota GG Guide will explain more, but nice, strong build for the carry jungler Volibears around us. And that wasn't really a sentence, but I've done boot camp, this, and now I've got coaching. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed and learned something. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to this channel, the other channel. Join me on Patreon. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.